जयो राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजना यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजना जमुना तीरा वनजारे जयो राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदनंदन ब्रज जन रंजना जमुना तीरा वनजारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य स्तोत्र अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। इस्कॉन फाउंडर आचार्य श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय, वृंदावन धाम की जय, नवद्वीप धाम की जय, जगन्नाथ पुरी की जय, गंगामय जमुनामय की जय, भक्ति देवी तुलसी देवी की जय, कलयुग पावन हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय, समवेद गौर भक्त वृंद की जय, ताई गौर प्रेमानंदे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुः श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. It's my honor to be here and speak something about from our holy scriptures. In the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, one of the first instruction Krishna gives to Arjuna is a very interesting instruction, which is fact of life, unchangeable, always exist. That is the nature of this world, the duality of this world, Dvandva. Before even begin to explain to Arjuna about the analytical study of Atma, one verse he said, then Krishna says to Arjuna, Matra sparshastu kaunteya shitoshna sukha dukkada. That means he told Arjuna, in this world, the happiness and distress, they are very much integral part of our existence. Now Krishna is telling it to Arjuna. Arjuna is Krishna's friend. In the entire Bhagavad Gita, very interestingly, other than in the 11th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, in 2 verses, Krishna gives some hint to Arjuna about his victory. When he is talking about being a Kala personified, that how all the warriors on the battlefield of Kurukshetra are entering in his mouth. Other than the 5 Pandavas, he said, rest everybody will be consumed. Some indication he gives. But Arjuna is so overwhelmed to see that Vishwarup form. He wants to see Krishna in his normal 2-handed form. transcendental form. But in the entire Bhagavad Gita, nowhere Krishna promises Arjuna for victory. Because victory is not synonymous to being faith in God. Because even those who are faithful to God sometimes experience so-called defeat. Defeat and victory, they are all relative. That's apekshit. So Krishna makes it very clear to Arjuna from very beginning. Arjuna, in this world, victory and defeat, happiness and distress, they are like seasons. They will come and go. And Krishna addresses Arjuna by connecting him to his family background. Both the sides, from the father sides and from mother side, he has a great heritage. So Prabhupada writes in the purport, he says, great heritage brings great responsibility. That means Arjuna had to prove his credibility by dealing with what comes to him. So therefore, happiness and distress is the duality. Therefore, Chanakya Pandit very interestingly, he explains, Prabhupada used to quote Lord Chanakya Pandit. One of his verses he explains that Pratadyuta prasangena, Madhyanastri prasangat, Ratrau chaura prasangena kale gacchati dhimatam. It's like a very cryptical verse. He says the intelligent people, they study Mahabharata in the morning, or they discuss about gambling. And afternoon they discuss about women. And the night time they discuss about robbery. So what is it? Night time, as Prabhupada explained, before you go to sleep, listen to Krishna's sweet pastimes. So that you don't have nightmares. But morning time, why it is said gambling? Because life is all about choosing. Every day we are supposed to make decisions. Right? Even while taking bus or train, should I go by bus or should I go by train? Should I go now or should I go afterwards? And we don't know what will happen with our choices. Back in India, we used to play this one game. They used to call it a Sap CD, snake and ladder. Almost everybody must have played. So when you're playing that game, you throw the dice. When you throw the dice, now you don't know what's going to come. And whatever comes, you are supposed to accept it. You can't say pass, pass, pass. You can't say pass. Whatever comes to at your, in your lap, you have to accept it. And you are working very hard. You have gone up to the ladder. You are reached there 92 or 94, and you are only 3-4 houses before you complete. And then suddenly what happens? You come down. The snake brings you down. So someone was saying all these games were so designed to teach us consciously or unconsciously, life is like snake and ladder. You go up, you come down. But the endeavor does not stop. You again try. You go up, come down. You go up and come down. Nobody in this world, while playing this game, has won in one go thinking that I never went through snake. Maybe very rare, but usually it doesn't happen like that. So Krishna is speaking this principle to Arjuna. This is a fact of life. You can't change. And therefore in the first canto, Prabhupada explains in one purport that the Pandavas represent that typical quality of being a devotee. Sometime when someone comes to spirituality, they have assumptions that if I take to the path of Krishna consciousness, then all my material problem will be solved. That's the biggest myth. Sometimes the material problems increase because we lived in ignorance. When we become aware, then we start realizing, oh, these are the trouble. And using Krishna's name for solving material problem is not proper, because holy name is not meant for utilizing for small things. Like somebody asked Prabhupada, is it not good to chant Hare Krishna while driving? He said, both you will not do, neither driving nor chanting. Right? Either you chant or you drive. So similarly, even if you chant however many rounds, if you don't brush your teeth, what will happen? It will stink only. Right? So we cannot use chanting to cleanse our mouth. But at the same time, cleansing mouth is not the goal of life. It's simply an ordinary activity that has to be done without giving much importance to that. One has to do it every day, but we are not conscious of it all the time. So therefore, Pandavas represent this concept of how to deal with the dualities of life, dvandva, making decisions. Right. So therefore, even while the gambling match, now it is not so easy, always people ask this question, if Yudhishthira Maharaj is Dharmaraj, he is the personification of Dharma, and how could he gamble? So what is the difference between Yudhishthira and Duryodhan? People expect a concept of leadership where he should be making no mistakes. The human beings are made in such a way, Prabhupada explains, 4 defects are the characteristics of the conditioned soul. Or in fact those who have the body. Right. And therefore the Pandavas play that role. They are playing this role. So when Yudhishthira Maharaj gambled, this question is always raised wherever we go, people, because in India you have to deal with Mahabharata, because all the time there are Mahabharata coming in the different kinds of television. Recently there was a serial on Karna. Therefore I wrote the book, because Karna is glorified beyond Vyasadeva's understanding. People have created a lot of fabricated story, and people come, Pandavas mistreated Karna. Karna was like a exploited hero, and they connect him to Dalit community, like that. So whole thing is very difficult to deal with. So Yudhishthira Maharaj is brought to the case that why he gambled. Why did he gamble? How could he gamble? Not only gambled, he actually put his wife into the gambling match. When Shakuni asked him, you have lost everything, now you put your wife also. Now there is an incident in the Mahabharata, one of the great king, Nal, he also played gambling against his brother, Pushkar. And he lost everything. And Pushkar told Nal that you place your wife in the gambling match. So Pushkar became very angry. He said, how dare you say this? He walked away from that gambling match. He lost everything, but he never placed his wife. But when Yudhishthira Maharaj was asked to place, the Mahabharata defines Yudhishthira Maharaj glorifies Draupadi in public place in front of everybody and puts her in the gambling match. Now this is the biggest cause of conflict in the heart of people. How can Dharmaraj, if he does it, what is our situation? So sometimes people justify, if he is doing, so what are we then? But we don't understand that how and why Yudhishthira Maharaj gambled. Just gambling is seen, but the background is not noticed. How, when we go against the will of destiny, we end up making bigger mistake. Where does it begin? The gambling match begins. Therefore, Yudhishthira Maharaj, in one sense, has been called as a persistent gambler by Vyasadeva himself in many places. And what kind of gambling? Not simply throwing the dice. In fact, in regards to making decisions. Krishna chastises Yudhishthira Maharaj very heavily. When is this? When Pandavas were winning, they've already destroyed everybody. 99 brothers of Duryodhan are killed. Only Duryodhan is left. Duryodhan is hiding in that lake. And some secret agents of the Pandavas come and tell. And Bhima is very eager to fight him out. So they all come there to catch Duryodhan. And then they scream, shout, eventually Duryodhan comes out. And what does Yudhishthira Maharaj do? Yudhishthira Maharaj says, you choose any one of us. You choose any one of us, and if you win, you'll be the king of Hastinapur. And then Krishna said, Yudhishthira, you are gambling. I think the Pandavas are not destined to rule. He said that what if he chooses Nakul? You gave him such an option that if he chooses one of you, even Bhima cannot defeat him in a religious war, means in a fair battle. Because Bhima was in forest for so many years. But Duryodhana was always practicing. He's very skillful. He's very artful. Bhima has power, but Duryodhana has the skill. And you're telling that, you can choose any one of them and you'll be given kingdom. I said, who told you to do this? This is nothing but gambling. So therefore, promising someone without understanding the consequences is also a gambling. It is not that gambling means you have to play gambling match. Actually, that is very gross and very detrimental. But even making promises like Dashrath Maharaj, without asking anything what Kaikeyi is going to ask, he made promises. He told everybody in front of all his praja that I'm going to coronate Ram as the future king. Then he came to Kaikeyi. Kaikeyi was brainwashed by the media called Manthara. No? Right. She churned her brain. Manthara means to churn. And Sumanthara means to churn auspiciously. Right. Sumanthara was the minister of Dashrath Maharaj. And Manthara was the minister of Kaikeyi. No, self-appointed minister. So she churned her consciousness from where, when she got the news, Kaikeyi said, oh, Ram is going to be the king. And she removed her necklace and offered it to Kaikeyi. He said, you brought such a good news. And from there, Manthara kept on persisting and changed her entire understanding. And she told her, you just act sulky. Become angry with your husband. And you remember, he had promised you that he'll give 2 benedictions. The same Kaikeyi, she had told Manthara, in my future birth, I want to be mother of Ram and mother-in-law of Sita. And that same lady, just see how transformation took place. When it became her own choice for her son, without even realizing the need of her son. But what Dashrath Maharaj did here, when Kaikeyi was sulky, she was angry, upset, he tried to convince her, but she was not able to be convinced, and he told her, you know what, you ask anything, I will give you in the name of Ram. This is there in Valmiki Ramayana. He said, you ask anything in the name of Ram. If you want me to kill someone who is released, someone is free in the kingdom, that means you ask me to catch any praja, and you want me to kill them, I will kill. And if you want me to release somebody in the prison house, I will release them. That's very dangerous for the king to say. Just imagine the prime minister, the president of America, whoever becomes, they makes a promise, when I become the prime minister or president, I will release 50 terrorists from the prison house. So Dashrath Maharaj made that promise. And in whose name? In the name of Lord Ram. Without even realizing what that promise would entail. So therefore, Yudhishthira Maharaj, very interesting, how did he come to this situation? He is teaching us the lesson, because Mahabharata is all about teaching lesson. When Shishupal was killed by Krishna in the Rajasuya sacrifice, Krishna took his Sudarshan Chakra. He had given 100, forgiveness for Shishupal. You can criticize me 100 times. Still I will not do anything to you. He has told his mother. She was his aunt. So Shishupal kept on blasting Krishna, criticizing, blaspheming. Eventually, when he finished with 100, he didn't even realize that he has criticized more. He was absorbed, He was absorbed in Krishna's holy name. Then the Sudarshan Chakra came and released him. Right. So Yudhishthira Maharaj, after the sacrifice was over, he asked Vyasdev, he said, why this happened? This was such an auspicious ceremony. Why such event happened in this ceremony where my own cousin, Shishupal's mother, Yudhishthira's mother, Krishna's father were brothers and sisters. So close relationship. He said, why this happened? So Vyasdev is the one who can indicate what future holds. He is God of destiny. He is the expansion of Lord Krishna. So as they've indicated Yudhishthira Maharaj, he said, my dear Yudhishthir, after 13 years, there will be great lokakshaya. Lokakshaya means there will be destruction. And making you as an instrument. Hear the word. Upakaran. Upakaran is an instrument. Using you as an instrument, the Lord will cause destruction of the evil forces, adharma. Now there is a difference between instrument and responsible. Upakaran and Uttardaitva. So how did Yudhishthira Maharaj hear it? What Vasudev spoke and what Yudhishthira heard is totally different. Vasudev said, he will make you as an instrument. Instrument is not responsible. In Orlando, somebody is shot. The gun is not responsible. The person is responsible. You can't blame the gun. You can only blame the person who is shooting. Right? When you are writing an exam, yes, you need to have a good writing material. But if somebody gets good grade, you don't give credit to the instrument. Right? You take the credit or you give the credit where it deserves. So therefore, Yudhishthira Maharaj, what did he hear? This is there in the Mahabharata. He heard that I am responsible. So then he said, if I will be responsible for the death of so many people, then I take a vow. He said, I take a vow that I will never ever disagree with whatever my superiors tell me to do. मैं व्रत लूंगा. I'll take a vow that whatever my superiors will tell me to do, I will do that, but I will never get into conflict with anybody. Now, who was his superior? It was not, his father Pandu. It was not Krishna in that sense. His superior was Dhritarashtra. And who is Dhritarashtra? Who makes clear distinction between his sons and the sons of the Pandu. He has proven many times, not one time or twice, many times he has proven he has got evil intentions. After the death of Kamsa, Krishna had sent a messenger in the form of Akrur to inform Dhritarashtra, please treat the sons of the Pandavas properly. It was an indirect hint that if you don't treat them properly, your condition will also be like Kamsa only. Right. So Yudhishthira Maharaj knew very clearly, but because of his good qualities, because he wanted to avoid conflict with all possible means, he took that vow. And he didn't ask anybody. Sometimes when people take vows emotionally, they don't realize the cost of that vows. Therefore, Krishna, he told Arjuna in one incident in the Mahabharata, he said there are rules which one has to follow, but there are some rules which tell to break these rules, so because the consequences are different. Rules should be followed, but sometimes the rules break the very purpose of the rule. Coherency, cooperative living, living for dharma, living for Krishna. They break them, so every time you have to break them also. So when Yudhishthira Maharaj took this vow, and then unfortunately Shakuni and Duryodhan were there, they went to Dhritarashtra, and what did they say? Invite Yudhishthira Maharaj for a gambling match. And Vidura tried so much to tell his brother, this will bring ruination. See, actually what happened was, that Yudhishthira Maharaj, by taking that promise, he simply was making Krishna's promise come true faster. If he had disagreed to gamble, then the Loksha would have not come. By taking that promise, Krishna said, you can't play around with my rules, my systems, my strategies. You want to break it? I'll use you faster. So when Vidura tried to tell his brother, don't do this, this will bring ruination to our family. This will not be simply ordinary gambling match. Everything will be lost. He said, no, nothing will happen. We are their elders. Dhritarashtra said, we are all their elders, nothing will happen, you bring him. So Vidura comes to Yudhishthira Maharaj and he tells, look, your uncle is calling for the gambling match. And Yudhishthira Maharaj said, what should I do? Now this is also very interesting. We want somebody else to give us advice so that we don't take responsibility. He told me, therefore I did. Oh, she told me, therefore I did. We try to put blame on others. Therefore, it is very important to understand here, Vidur was very expert. He said, my dear Yudhishthira Maharaj, it is your choice what you want to do. So Yudhishthira Maharaj said, if I do not go to the advice of my superiors, then what will happen? I will break the promise. And because breaking of the promise, not following my superiors, my future life will be put in danger. My para will be put in danger. But if I go, my iha will be destroyed. Iha and para. Iha means this world, para means other world. How iha will be destroyed? Because gambling will ruin me. I will lose in the gambling match. So that was the dilemma for Yudhishthira Maharaj. If you go, you will lose the prosperity of this life. If you don't go, that is what he was thinking. It will destroy my prosperity of the future life because I promised. And of course, because he was a Kshatriya, as Prabhupada explains, as a Kshatriya, he has to take the challenge. But of course, if a Kshatriya is more intelligent, realizes this is not a challenge, this is the deception, it's a cheating. He decided to go. But before going, very interesting, Yudhishthira Maharaj realized. If you read, he says, actually it is not that I want to go. The destiny is calling me. The destiny is calling me. So therefore it is not the Yudhishthira Maharaj who is bound by material qualities who is going. Rather, he is simply responding to the destiny's call. Who was an instrument in the hands of God. He was like a puppet. He was going there. He goes and he loses everything in the gambling match. And gambling has such an absorption. Chanakya Pandit explains, if you want to learn what absorption is, see the gambler. I remember one devotee friend was telling, he knew this story. One man was so addicted to gambling. He was gambling. And somebody came to call him saying that your daughter is sick. She has to be hospitalized. Please come. He said, I am just now coming. And he went after 8 hours. Meanwhile, his daughter was dead. A gambler, I remember one devotee friend was saying, from his South Bombay flat where very wealthy people stay there, from there he was coming to the airport. And in the middle, he went to one casino. And within 40 minutes, he lost 72 lakh rupees. That's about how much? How much dollars? Huh? No, 100,000 almost. $100,000 within 40, more than that. $100,000 in 40 minutes he lost. No. 100,000 is about 66. Yeah, 66 lakh. No, little more than. Yeah, right. So he lost within 40 minutes. He kept on playing. Then he realized when he came out that he had lost so much of money. So therefore, the Shastra explain the ill effect of gambling. But gambling is very addictive. It's very addictive. And it is not only the play, it is the, taking risk for no good reason. People taking risk for no good reason. But at the same time, unless you make a decision, you can't move in the life. If you do, you're damned. If you don't do, you're damned. You have to make some move in life. Right, that is very interesting. So that's what Yudhishthira Maharaj, through this gambling match, is teaching everyone. When you make a move, or when you are hesitant to make a move, a right move, what happens? There are consequences. So therefore, unless we see the whole story, then what happened was, Vidura tried to stop them, they did not agree. Vikarna tried to stop them, they did not agree. Now Vidura represents the principle of discipline. He is also Yamaraj representation only. And Yudhishthira Maharaj also, Yamaraj is representation. So Vidura represents disciplining power of Yamaraj. And Yudhishthira Maharaj represents the destructive power of Yamaraj. If you don't listen to Vidura, then destruction is guaranteed. And they did not listen. And they lost everything. The Pandavas lost everything, but the Kurus were destroyed. They were destroyed. And then again, when Dhritarashtra got to know what's going to happen with his entire family, he called them back. He said, please come back, please come back. He asked Draupadi, what do you want? He said, I forgive you. I'll give you everything, whatever you want. So Draupadi told, release my husband from slavery. He said, done. He said, give back all their weapons. He said, done. He asked her, ask for the third benediction. She said that they will gain on their own. They will gain back whatever they are supposed to gain. So they started going back to their kingdom. Duryodhana again came back to Dhritarashtra. He said, Daddy. No, he is like that. Even though Dhritarashtra is very interesting. When Duryodhana was born, again, he made wrong choices. Vidura told him, what do you want? You want 100 sons? He said, that's not going to happen. You are destined to have only 99 children. But if you say 99 plus 1 you want, here 99 plus 1 is not 100, 99 plus 1 is 0. Just see how mathematics is different. 99 plus 1 Duryodhan is equal to 0. But 100 minus 1 is not only 99, but the entire Kuru race, the army, the citizens, the civilians, everybody will survive. Just discard your son. No, that is not easy. How can you discard your son? But Dhritarashtra is not only a father, he is the king also, in one sense. He is connected to royal family. He has the choice to discard one of his son for the sake of his praja, or discard the entire praja for sake of his one son. And Vidura did not say anything which was not precedent. In fact, the Mahabharata explains, in the Bhagavatam is there in the 9th canto, wherein this situation came to great Bharat. Bharat is the ancestor of the Pandavas. His sons become useless. They became useless. Then he came to his guru. He said, what should I do? He had 9 sons. He said, these are all useless people. If they are ordinary children of an ordinary father, you can bear them. But they are demonic children of an extraordinary father with unlimited resources, who does not have a facility of making a private decision. Because Bharat was not simply a father, he was the king. So now this is the choice. Should I act as a father or should I act as a king? If I act as a father, I lose my praja. If I act as a king, I lose my son. Therefore, kingship is not easy. It's not easy. People criticize Lord Ramchandra also in India. They say we can handle Krishna, but we can't stand Ram. Many people say like that. We met one lady, she has done PhD in social science. She said, I can never forgive Lord Ramchandra, as if she is God. No? I said, how can he do this? How can he do like that? And she's more angry with Sita, but how can she accept this? She has no brain. No. Then many people want to fight on behalf of Sita without asking her. No, not reading Ramayana, what she says about what Lord Ramchandra did with her. It was a conflict between playing the role of a king or acting as a husband. Being a husband, protective husband means what? He is going to put himself in a difficult situation with his praja. And he can't resign. It is not that you resign there. Oh, I can't take this position. I want to go with my wife to some forest and live with her happily ever after. No, you have taken the role of a king. And you can't resign unless your guru removes you. Right? So therefore just imagine how it was not about right or wrong. No, it is not about right or wrong. It's about what is the need of the hour. If you read Ramayana, you'll understand that. So therefore, Dhritarashtra, so Bharat, he after a lot of deliberation, he came to his guru, he said, what should I do? Now, gurus only give inspiration. They don't give imposition. Right? Like if you read in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna spoke in the entire Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. And what did he say at the end of the day? He didn't say, I spent so much of time with you. I taught you Bhagavad Gita. Now better you follow what I said. This is my tuition fee. You have to follow what I say. Krishna did not do that. Krishna told Arjuna, Yatechasi tata kuru. Arjuna, you make your choice. So it was Arjuna's independent decision. He said, Krishna, my moha is destroyed. Now I'm going to follow whatever you have told me. It is not that Arjuna gave away his intelligence. Whatever you have told me is the principle you have told me, I'm going to follow. Therefore, Bharat, he came back, he decided, for me, the priority at this stage is to be the good king. Even though that means I have to be cruel father. Now, Bhagavatam explains that Bharat, now you can't keep them alive also. Just imagine the pain of a king, because if you keep them alive, what will happen? The praja will be emotional, sentimental. Oh, he's the son of a king, and how is that some other person has become king? There will be cough, there will be revolt, there is a rebellion, so they have to go. So what happened? Bharat actually killed all of his 9 sons who could have been causing so much disaster to the world. And he took somebody else. He adopted someone as his son and he placed him as the king of Hastinapur so that he can rule properly. So there was a precedent for Dhritarashtra, but Dhritarashtra gave more importance to me and my son. Me and my son. And what happened? He lost that son. He lost all the 99 sons, including Vikarna, who had some sense of dharma. He lost the entire praja, which was Arjuna's fear. Hundreds and thousands of soldiers were killed. And who is responsible for that? Dhritarashtra's decision. A wrong pawn he placed. He said, I take a decision of having my sons. That was his decision, without realizing what that could cause, even though indication was given. Therefore, in this way, Mahabharata always goes around talking about decisions. If you do this, this will happen. And it is always the precedent is there. Therefore, Chanakya Pandit says, morning you get up and read Mahabharata, because that is what you are going to face in your life. Should I make this decision? Should I not make this decision? Should I make this decision? Should I not make this decision? But the power of making decision will not come by our own endeavor. Tesham satatam yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam. Actually, when we are connected to Krishna, in yoga, in Krishna consciousness, then the ability to handle the consequences of the decision will come. It is not that every time we will make right decisions only. That guarantee is not there. But even if we make a wrong decision with the right intentions, then what will happen? We will have the courage and the power to handle the consequences. Therefore, Brahmaji in the 10th canto he prays, my dear Lord, tattenu kampa susamikshamana bhunjana evatma. He says that whatever is coming into my life, whatever suffering I am going through, it is happening because of my own karma. I will consume, like Prabhupada used to say, when you cook, if there is nobody there in your house and you are only cooking, you will love your food. You will imagine, bahut acha ban gaya. It's very good. No, why? Because you have no one to complain. You try it. If you cook your own food, it always tastes good. Unless you are feeding it to others. Then you have to be very conscious. I remember one time I was visiting one devotee's place. He was, he had just freshly became devotee, never cooked in his home. and he had cooked poha. He cooked poha as if it is like rice. I said, what is this? He said, oh, this is poha, the way we cook rice. He had actually, the poha is supposed to be, soaked in water and removed. He actually boiled with water. And he was enjoying that very nicely. It was my pain. It was my karma. So Prabhupada explains, he says very nicely, he says that bhunjana evatma. Bhunjan means what? To consume. So whatever karma you have cooked, you have to consume it. Nobody will eat that. Nobody, you cannot give somebody the proxy, I have got a lot of money, so you suffer on my behalf. Nahi hoga aisa. It will never happen like that. You have to consume your own food. But the ability to consume that comes from where? Brahmaji is teaching us tattvaino kampa. Holding, he said, this is my food only. Krishna, but you give me the courage, the ability to consume. And that was the power of the Pandavas. They lost everyone. All their 5 sons were killed. Abhimanyu was killed. Ghatotkacha was killed. Just like Gandhari lost all her sons, even Draupadi lost all her sons. Pandavas lost their entire army, except few soldiers survived. From a material perspective, the war did not give victory to anybody. From the perspective of number, people getting killed. For that matter, Draupadi was the greatest loser. Their sons were brutally killed. Her father was killed. Her 3 brothers were killed. Her favorite Abhimanyu was killed. And on top of that, none of her family members took over the kingship. Subhadra's grandson was sitting on the throne. Right. Parikshit Maharaj sat on the throne. One Bengali writer has written, this was Krishna's shrewdness. He wanted his family member to sit on Hastinapur. Just see how people, go to any extent. Huh? Right. So therefore, what was it, Draupadi? Draupadi materially did not gain anything, but you don't find her complaining about it. She doesn't say, Krishna, what is this? You did not favor me. What is the point in being your devotee? She accepts the realities of life. What is the reality of life? War's reality is both parties are losers. But there was no other choice than to fight the war on behalf of Dharma. Dharma has to be established. So when we study the life of Pandavas, therefore I wrote this book called Hand of God, because we want hand of God without putting any efforts. Life should be very easy, comfortable, cozy. Krishna is driving our chariot and we will sleep behind. No, doesn't happen like that. Krishna will drive the chariot, but shooting has to be done by you only. Like Prabhupada, one time he called Shruti, Kirti Prabhu and other devotees when he was resting in the night. He called them. He said, Krishna's devotee said, not easy. Just see Arjun, what he has to do. Now Arjuna fighting against Bhishma is one of the most painful event in Mahabharata. Now, to be angry with your grandfather, unless he has bought big property and is not giving it to you, then you fight. It happens. Arjuna loved Bhishma Dev so much. It is explained simply by remembering Bhishma Dev, Arjuna would have tears in his eyes. Arjuna repeatedly asked Krishna in the 9th day when Krishna tried to kill Bhishma Dev because Arjuna was not fighting. Arjuna promised, I will kill him, you don't worry, you don't do this, I will do this, your name will be spoiled, you have promised that you will not fight, so don't do it. Arjuna forced Krishna, and Krishna looked at Arjuna angrily and he came back. He played his role very nicely. He prepared Arjuna. And when he goes back to the camp, Arjuna starts saying the same thing, Krishna, how can I kill him? He's so good to me. He's so nice to me. He's my grandfather. Whenever I went running, from playing, I made his dress soil, but he never chastised me. Basically, one Acharya writes, Krishna is telling Arjuna, hey, you are painting Bhishma's picture, what you like to paint. You are only painting the part of Bhishma's character which you like to paint, but you're not like wanting to paint what I need you to paint. The need of the hour is not to exhibit your love for Bhishma Dev. The need of the hour is to act according to dharma. So every arrow which Arjuna was shooting against Bhishma was filled with unlimited pain. It was so much of painful to kill. No, Bhishma is not some bird to kill, where you don't have so much feeling. Arjuna is a Kshatriya, no doubt. But whom is he facing? Bhishma Dev. It's a very painfully described, such a painful. We don't go through those kind of dilemmas. Therefore, we are not in the pages of Mahabharata. Our Mahabharata is very ordinary. It will come in, Boston Globe, small newspaper it will come, right? Even if it comes. Otherwise, it just comes in your email with your relatives, your friend. Right, it will not come. But the impact is the same. The experience, the pain is the same. So therefore, the interesting point here is the greatness of the Pandavas, their life remained same like anybody else's life. But why it is extraordinary? It is extraordinary because in all their situation, they kept Krishna in the center. Therefore, in the first canto of the Bhagavatam, when Arjuna comes back from Dwarka, after 7 months, Arjuna was not there with Yudhishthira Maharaj. And Yudhishthira Maharaj is asking Bhima, why is that Arjuna has not returned? It is 7 months he has gone. He has not come back. I see something is going to happen. Some inauspiciousness is going to befall. And Arjuna comes. When Arjuna comes, what Yudhishthira Maharaj says that Arjuna's face has become completely pale. He has lost the glitter, the charm, the tej has gone. And Yudhishthira Maharaj asked so many questions. Prabhupada explains that Yudhishthira Maharaj was not able to ask the main question. He was fearful to ask that question. But eventually he had to ask that question. Arjuna, why are you so upset? Why are you so pained? Is it that your dearest of the dearest friend Krishna has disappeared from this world? Has he gone back to the spiritual world? And Arjuna breaks down. He starts crying, he's overwhelmed, he's not able to speak. Then he starts speaking. And that chapter is one of the most beautiful chapters of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Why it is beautiful? Not only because Arjuna is remembering Krishna with such a great, fondness, but in his remembrance, there is complete gratitude where he gives all credit to Krishna where Krishna was directly involved, but he also brings Krishna where Krishna is not directly involved in the Pandavas' life. That shows that Pandavas were always connected to Krishna either directly or indirectly. He brings everything. Historically where Krishna is involved, he brings, and emotionally, devotionally where Krishna is involved, he brings that also. And he said to Yudhishthira Maharaj, Yudhishthira, I had that same Gandiva bow. That means he had the same bow. I had the same chariot. He did not have the Agni given chariot, but the same chariot. Powerful chariot. I was the same Arjuna. But you know what? That I was not able to defeat the infidel coward boys. They defeated me. He said, just see the power of time. And that was the time they prepare. Now Krishna has gone back to the spiritual world. And now we have nothing to stay here. Parikshit is very qualified. It is not that they abruptly gave up. They prepared Parikshit Maharaj also to take over. So their retirement became very seamless, very nice. And they moved towards the Himalayan mountains. Therefore, the Pandavas prove the diversity of devotees' life. There are ups, there are downs. There are miseries, there are pleasures. There are mistakes, there are reflections, there are rectification, there are repentance. Everything is there in their life, like a dense forest where you have millions of varieties. It is not like a man-made garden. Man-made garden is all looks very beautiful, but it is artificial. It is very kritrim. But the dense forest is actually the reality of life. We experience so many varieties in our life. But in all these varieties, what is steadiness? Is the connection with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that is what actually Prabhupada came to teach. He did not came to give miracles, magic. Okay, you take this and your life will be sublime. Life will not be sublime whether you have this car, that car, or Bail Gadi, bullock cart. Whatever cart you have, either way, there is a duality. But transcending duality is a goal of life. And that can happen through the process of devotional service and chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Any questions or comments? Yeah, first is the principle of decision making. We have the facility of Vaishnava Shastras. They train us how to take right decisions. At least the training has to be there. Therefore, satsang, swadhyay, seva, sadachar, sadhana. If you are covered by these 5 principles, there are the greater chances that you will take right decisions. The consequences you have no control. Even if you take right decisions, I remember one devotee's father met in an accident in a broad highway where the vehicles were, going in the right directions, in a broad highway. I said, how did you meet in an accident? He said, Samne se, that means from other direction, breaking the divider, one truck came and hit him. So he asked him, what is my karma here? He said, not your karma, his mistakes. In the Mahabharata, again it is explained, it is not that all the time you suffer because of your karma also. You suffer because you are connected to the society. So therefore, to discriminate, to understand whether it is, generally we'll say it's my karma. Right? Is it a new karma? Is it a consequences, or because you are connected to the society? Today morning I was saying that when our young people had gone to Chitrakoot for yatra, everybody had their mobile phone, they were sitting in a beautiful place in Chitrakoot, and suddenly honeybees, they came and they started biting. About 20 boys had to be hospitalized. Now what was their karma? The karma was that the honeybees were disturbed because 700 mobile phone and their all that that radioactive rays, and because of that all the honeybees were disturbed, and therefore they attacked. That is what one person said to them, one environmentalist. So the point is, it is not that all the time because of your mistake only you suffer, because somebody else's mistake also you suffer. So therefore, that is also there. And secondly, if you are suffering, rather than thinking it is my destiny I need to suffer, that means you are not taking responsibility. And if you don't take responsibility, you put all the responsibility to destiny, then there is a danger that you may not change. When you become successful, then you can say it was the destiny, it was Krishna. So success, all the credit goes to Krishna. The failure, all the responsibility comes to us. This is there in the Mahabharata. Today I was sharing with somebody. that when all the sons of Dhritarashtra were killed, Sanjay came and told him, look, don't lament, because lamentation is not the solution for lamentation. Suffering is not the solution for whatever suffering is you are going through. If you suffer because you are suffering, that is not going to minimize your suffering. Sanjay told very, very logically. He said, you are crying, but who is responsible for your suffering? You are responsible. Now you are trying to build the bridge when the water is already passed. The house is burning, now you want to open the well. He said, that's not going to work. He said, just tolerate. Sanjay was very strong, but that was the reality. And then next person was Vidura came and he told him. He said, my dear brother, you know what? Life is so designed like that. Sometime you win, sometime you lose. Youth ultimately concludes in old age. Life concludes in death. Prosperity concludes in losing everything. Birth concludes in death. So therefore life is so designed like that. So why take it seriously? Accept realities of life. So Dhritarashtra fell unconscious because it was too painful for him to hear. Then Vyasdev comes. Now Vyasdev knows the pain of Dhritarashtra is suffering so much. He says, you know what? He said, my dear son. He said, don't worry. Actually this was destined. It was destined that the Devas had sent your son, who is none other than the personification of Kali. So this was supposed to happen, so therefore you are not responsible. So Dhritarashtra felt very good. Oh, I am not responsible. So he was pacified, but no transformation. So you have to see what you want. You want pacification, you want sympathy, or you want transformation. So next 18 years, that rascal Dhritarashtra kept on sitting on the throne of Yudhishthira Maharaj. Mahabharata explains, he didn't allow Yudhishthira to sit, and Yudhishthira is so nice. Okay, baithne do, usko itna asakta hai, He's so attached to sitting on the throne, let him sit. Only when Vidura came and he gave heavy chastisement to Dhritarashtra, he did not change. So therefore sympathy does not guarantee transformation. It can make you comfortable. It's like blowing over the boil. It feels good. Sympathy is like a drug. And unfortunately, most of the time we want sympathy, not the solution, because solution is very difficult one. So therefore, what Shastras, if you see, it is not that we are seeing from another perspective. We are seeing Yudhishthira's destiny. But if you ask Yudhishthira only, he'll say, I made a big mistake. I should have not gambled. I should have not put. You ask Draupadi, what your husband did. She will give him blasting. Yudhishthira, Bhima said, these are the very hands you gambled. You placed Draupadi in stake. He said, hey Vidur, Sahadev, bring some fire. I will burn those hands. Now Bhima can say it. And Draupadi chastises her husband. She said, what is the point of these husbands? She told Krishna. He said, this man is Dharmaraj. They don't exist for me. She is sharing that emotion. He said, Bhima, bade baate karta hai, gada hai. Hell with his gada. Arjun with Gandiv. Hell with his Gandiv. Nakul, Sahadev, all their intelligence, all were watching only. That's all, doing nothing. They didn't say, hey, wife, you should be submissive to your husband. How can they say like that when they made a mistake? So if you ask Draupadi, she will not say destiny. They'll say it's their fault. And if you ask Yudhishthira Maharaj, they'll say it's our fault that we made this mistake. But if you ask Mahabharata, so Mahabharata talks a human platform, Deva platform, and Daiva platform. As a Yamaraj, he had to act like that, become an instrument. As a human, he is teaching us the lesson. From Daiva's perspective, you see, there is the divine will of God. So for us, the lesson is we know we are only humans. Somebody else, if there is a Daiva, they will tell future. It was all Krishna's will. But at this stage, we always have to say, it was my fault. Like many times happens, when people miss their train. They have to go to some holy place. As usual, devotees go late. And then people are praying, he's missing the train, nursing Arti they sing. And this person comes blissfully And people say, Prabhuji, you are so great. Krishna, made the train stop. Simple. The train did not go according to the railway standards only. You know. So to bring Krishna there and become more irresponsible is only spoiling Krishna's name. If it does not give good feeling for others. Yes, we should always remember Krishna, but not at the cost of putting Krishna into shame. So that is the first thing. And second, about Indra, these are all exceptional stories for inspiration. It doesn't happen regularly. Very unique. Only once it happened when he killed Vritrasura. Rest of the time he got beatings also. Same Indra. Right. So therefore, taking stories which are exceptional stories, they are not the normal practice. Yeah. Just yeah. And then see the story of Bali Maharaj. Bali Maharaj had to show his devotion to Krishna. Prahlada's devotion was there to support him. It is not, my grandfather has done devotional service, so why should I do now? Automatically I should go. No. He actually surrendered just like Prahlad also. But Prahlada's support was there. He had the choice to be like his great grandfather, father Hiranyakashipu, or grandfather Prahlad. Dono bhi tha. He could have been like that. Yes. No, that is how life is. Mahabharata is nothing but life. Bhagavatam is for the inner soul. You don't experience Bhagavat in your company, in your house, in the Mahabharata. In the house it is Mahabharata only. The child is acting sometime like Arjun, sometime like Duryodhan, sometime like Karna. And we are also acting like that. So Mahabharata is a practical life. Bhagavatam is for it's for the inner satisfaction. Therefore, Chanakya says Bhagavatam teaches how to love Krishna. Ramayana teaches how to live, how to lead, and Mahabharata teaches how to live. Understand? So come on, how can you say pastime? How will you understand? The outside person, if he says it's all pastime, then will say, "Arey, आपके लिए एक ही उत्तर है." When something you don't know, you say pastime. Huh? So that they will not accept. So simple, if you read Mahabharata itself, that for establishing dharma for Krishna, it's not easy. His very self was objecting his well self. That's a beauty. Krishna's very self, Balramji, is objecting to prove that even I myself oppose me in establishing dharma, I will reject me. Huh? So unless Balramji does that, you will not understand how Krishna is determined to establish dharma. Sometimes you want popular vote. Oh, world has to like me. World doesn't like. Even if you do good, they will hate you. And even if you do bad, they will hate you. So better they hate you for doing good. So Balramji, we were discussing during Nityananda appearance day, the goal of Balramji is to serve. So by opposing Krishna, he enhances Krishna's character. What is Krishna's life after he left Vrindavan? Living Vrindavan was not so easy. He had a choice. Again, Krishna had to go through this conflict also. Because he is coming to this world. He is playing the part of a human being. To show, I would prefer being in Vrindavan. But dharma ki sthapna karni, I have to establish dharma. Should I allow gopis and stay in Vrindavan? Or then I leave the gopis and go and establish dharma? If there was a choice, he would have stayed in Vrindavan. He stayed in his bhava expansion. But he left historically. So that is how it works. So therefore, the whole Nityanand Prabhu is extremist, Lakshman is loyalist, and Balramji is separatist. But he becomes separatist, therefore he enhances the you know, entire story of Krishna being so determined. Otherwise, what is the point? See, Balramji he plays a neutral role. If you study, neutrality never stands because there is nothing as neutrality. Neutral means you are taking side, and especially you are taking the side of the wrong people. Neutrality means that is what exactly happens. So Balramji told Krishna, you don't favor the Pandavas, you don't play any sides. Krishna said, okay, I will not fight. I will not fight. So Balramji went for pilgrimage. When does he come back? When all the war is over and the last conclusion war is there, he comes there and he tells them as if he is watching a match. It was not a match. A match between Duryodhan and Bhima was not. Krishna never considered as a game. He said, however you kill him, he's a criminal. The police department, they are chasing a mafia. The mafia cannot say, come on, give me a fair chance. You also take gun in your hand, I will also take gun in your hand. No, police will say, no, we'll kill you. 7, 8 people together. And then the pseudo-secular will come, oh, this was against the humanitarian principle. No. So Balramji is very beautifully playing that kind of role. He blames the Pandavas for the gambling match. He blames the Pandavas for all the wrongdoings. He blames Krishna. Why are you supporting these Pandavas? They are not fair. They are not clean. So Krishna tries to convince him. But Balramji goes without getting convinced. He said, Krishna, I am not convinced about it. So the point here, some Sri Vaishnava Acharyas who have written commentary on the Mahabharata, they explain that Balramji by doing that is telling us that when you take right decision, dharmic decision, it is not that everybody will appreciate. Who was the one who criticized Ram for not abandoning Mother Sita? He did not abandon. The whole concept of abandoning does not exist. She was placed in Valmiki Muni's ashram. Now Valmiki is the Kula Guru who had got 10,000 students staying there. If you read Valmiki Ramayana, and in that there was a ladies' wing also. There were a lot of, yes, Ramanand Sagar must have sold Ramayana where she's in a jhopadi, where nobody's around, in the forest, crying, foul. They tried to make it like a social, the scene how it happens sometime where, the cruel men abandon their wife. It is not like that. He said, till the time where the Praja learn their lesson, let Sita stay in the Valmiki's ashram. Yes, difficult, challenging decision. It was not easy still. Because kind of submitting to the needs of the Praja. And when Lakshman had to actually leave Sita there, and Lakshman becomes so angry, he is the first one who objected for what Ram did. He said, how could he do this? How can he? Said, I can't take it, I can't tolerate this. But he cannot say because he has taken the position of younger brother. Therefore he decided, Abhi chota bhai banne ka nahi. I will not become younger brother only. He became older brother. Right. So therefore you have to see from Ram Leela also. They're all continuous. So Balramji became older brother. So therefore good things are not always appreciated. If you try to please everybody, you never do right things. The Pandavas were willing to be misunderstood, but they established dharma. And some people, like Karna for that example, is one of the most deceptive characters in the Mahabharata. Very deceptive. Duryodhana is outright demon. Dushasana is, Duryodhana square 2. You don't have any sympathy. Is a brutal personality. Shakuni, is a brutal personality. Vidura, very clean. There is no fault in him. Whatever human, but he never made a mistake. Gross mistakes. But people like Karna, extremely sensitive about dharma, understand what dharma is, but never practices dharma. Even Arjuna was hesitant to kill him. Arjuna is the first one is sympathizing with Karna for shooting an arrows. So baki loka, then what about others? Everyone, whatever, recently in one town, they had kept a debate. Was there injustice on Karna? And those who spoke in the favor of Karna having injustice, they were presenting as if they were Karna. Emotionally almost crying and telling all the fabricated stories. One story, one boy, he got a prize, but because he was debating very nicely, you know, he said that when Draupadi was being disrobed, Draupadi was going everywhere. She went to Bhishma, Drona, everyone she went, and nobody protected. She came to Karna. And Karna was looking, she will ask from me, I will protect her. And there also Draupadi felt, oh, he is Sutaputra, I will not ask favor from him. So Karna wanted to protect her, but he couldn't protect because she did not ask. I said, wow, what a story. Huh? He said, you have become super Vyasdev. This story is not mentioned by Vyasdev. Then I quoted, this was in Maharashtra. He said, if some people write history book of India, Pakistan is right. Right. So they'll make Shivaji Maharaj a murderer and Afzal Khan a martyr. Right. So therefore you can't fabricate the stories. Therefore he is very deceptive. He knows how to get sympathy of people and then attack others. That has to be, one has to see that good things or dharmic things are not necessarily good. Somebody asked this question to me, why Krishna is special? I said, because Krishna is special because he never bound by any quality. He is never bound by quality. Oh, I am non-violent. I am violent. I am a philosopher. I am a butter thief. Can you catch Krishna? Some people are caught, bound by that quality. Non-violence, non-violence, non-violence. There is so much of violence is happening, they'll still keep crying, non-violence, non-violence, non-violence. So they think non-violence is dharma. They think speaking truth is dharma. They think being idealistic is dharma. Right. No, what is dharma? Dharma has these elements, but dharma has the power to reject all this. Like Prabhupada explains, what is the difference between Dashrath and Vasudeva? He said Dashrath was bound by truth and Vasudeva was bound by dharma, that is Krishna. Vasudeva never spoke lies in his life. Therefore Kamsa was able to accept. He said, you are telling that you promised that every child will be brought back. He brought back one child, second child, third child, fourth child, fifth child, sixth child, and seventh child disappeared. Right, went to Vrindavan. When Krishna appeared, Vasudeva, who had never spoken lie, Krishna told me, take me other side and tell Kamsa. So what Vasudeva is doing? Immediately after the birth of Krishna starts telling lie. That is what Krishna does. Jo bade, such a big truthful person, he is told, you want truth or you want dharma? You choose. Vasudeva could have told, hey Krishna, this is not fair. I have never spoken lie. I am not going to tell the lie. I will be only truthful. So Krishna said, okay, I can't be your father because you are bound by your attachment to this. But my attachment, does it benefit the entire human existence? It does not benefit. So tell the truth if it benefits. If it does not benefit, discard it. So that is the beauty of Krishna's character. He is not, you can't bind Krishna by any qualities. Therefore he is called as Nirgun. Means what? He is not bound by any gunas, three modes of material nature does not bind him. He is gunatit, right? Bhagavatam explains. Gunatit means he is not bound by ordinary quality. All qualities he binds. Satya ka kaam hai, kaam mein lagao. Lie has to be used, he will use. But he is never habituated. People become addicted to things. But Krishna doesn't become addicted. That is the point. Last question, then we'll, yeah. Hmm.
So, but then even when that was misunderstood also, uh, wasn't that still obeying what Krishna had been for him? Like, so there was a confusion in between where I understood that, well, Krishna wanted this to happen this way, but we actually kind of override something that is being, like, we use the freedom of the free will is used in such a way that it is not exactly as it is designed.
Hmm.
But ultimately, it is designed, right? Like Krishna had, like you said, it was to be made faster. Like, now something that was intended to happen like 13 years later, now Upakaran, instead of Upakaran, he became Uttaradarshi. But even that also is is something that was supposed to be like that, right? Like
See, therefore I said one thing is what do we learn as a human, what do you learn from this story? As when you take Yudhishthira Maharaj as a human being. So there is a lesson for ordinary human beings to learn from them. Okay, we should not be doing like this. We cannot be stubborn with the will of God. We have to just submit. So when you see Yudhishthira Maharaj as uh, as the person of Kala, he is personification of Kala, he is personification of Dharma, he is personification of Yama. It's not about finding faults with Yudhishthira Maharaj. It's learning. We have tendencies, that human tendencies, that we try to, we go against the will of God. How do you know what is the will of your God? Simple. Like Swadharma, Gita talks about Swadharma. The best thing is Indian parents. Even though their child is not meant to be engineer or doctor, they force. Hmm? The child may be musically inclined. I deal with children, we have schools also. So most of the time what happens that, people see success through only one or two professions. But life is designed with so many things, right? So when people impose something, when the indication is very clear, they are not meant for this. Why in Kota so many people are committing suicide? Because the imposition of the parents, you have to be doctor, you have to be engineer, and they take it. I saw recently about 20 letters of kids who committed suicide. Now this is not ordinary. Young people, 16, 17-year-old people committing suicide, that says something. Right. In IIT, recently there was a news that about 1,000 people, they dropped from IIT colleges for maybe going to abroad, but then dropping because they can't handle it. 150 MBA students from top universities, they drop. I know an English, a best engineering professor, not one or two, one I know very well. He was telling, I never wanted to be an engineer. I said, you're a professor, man. Huh? You're a professor and you're saying you don't want to be. So when you do something which is not your core passion, you'll regret. So from that perspective, learning, what do we learn as a human? What we are not supposed to do? We should not gamble. We should not, when indication is coming, Vyasdev is like an astrologer. But Yudhishthira Maharaj wanted to, undo what Vyasdev was saying. So Krishna's greatness that he used Yudhishthira Maharaj's mistake to speed up the whole process. It is not that, again, that's what I am saying, from a human perspective, we have to see it was a wrong on Yudhishthira Maharaj to do. Otherwise, we will not learn lesson. If you just tell it is all pastime of Krishna, then what is the point you discuss? Then you just discuss Bhagavatam only, na? No. So you learn this, okay, I should not be doing this. Something is indicating very strongly, then I should actually submit to that indication. So many parents, you can't imagine. Now it is increasing like anything because the competition has increased. Right. I know one young boy, very talented in music, but the parents were insisting that you should be like others. Usually what happens, if there are 20 kids in one school, I would say 4 to 5 people excel in medicine and in engineering. The school only presents them as if they are the everybody in the school. And 7, 8 people become ordinary job holders, and others, they become confused. Who am I? And therefore they come for Gita course. No? And they are told, okay, you're not this body, you're spirit soul. But still the body is there. You're not this body, your spirit, soul, no doubt, but you still have a body. But people make the mistakes again and again, repeatedly makes the same mistake. So I say, just like if Yudhishthira Maharaj was asked by Yaksha, what is the greatest wonder in this world? He would say that people go to school and suffer, but still every parent thinks that my son will not suffer. No psychological problem, it's unimaginable. So therefore, just I conclude, therefore, Yudhishthir, learning on a human platform, you have to know, you cannot stubbornly challenge the will of God. On a human platform. Now because the stories already happened, it's easier for you to say it was all Krishna's will. But do you know what's going to happen tomorrow for your life? Are you not supposed to put that efforts? For example, I know one devotee is suffering last 10 years, chronically sick. Now what is he supposed to do? Should he say, it's my destiny to suffer? Or should he say, it was my destiny that I suffered for 10 years, but tomorrow again I will try to rectify myself. Because to stay diseased is not our destiny. So 10 years I am suffering, it's okay, but 11th year I'll try something else. This is explained in the 18th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Purushartha is for the future and Daiva is for the past. You can always say this was the will of God. So it's very easy to understand Yudhishthira, everything is will of God because the story ho gaya abhi. Yudhishthira Maharaj has gone back to the spiritual world. But what about you and me? You still have tomorrow, you have day after, you have next year, you have future. So you have to plan, that is your responsibility. And that is what Gita talks about. Arjuna basically asked this question, actually how does it function? There is a logic in India that, because people believe too much in God, therefore they are suffering. Yeah, this is what Nehru told, the first Prime Minister of India. He said, India is so bound by this whole concept of God, Mandir, Mandir, all this we have to stop. We have to build new temples. The new temples of India are industries. He said like that. But he never studied the history of India. Before the Britishers came, big research has been done. When Japan became very prosperous country, there was a shock in the European world. How can an Asian country be so prosperous? So they did study called Paul Bayrock. He did a study for history of economics for 300 years. And he was shocked to see that China and India, their GDP was, if you consider GDP, was much superior to Europe. I said, how is it possible? Then they studied history of 2000 years called Angus Madison and his team. If you Google, you'll find. They studied the history of the entire economic history of the entire world, 2000 years. And they found that there was unlimited prosperity in Asian countries also. And the conclusion why the prosperity was there, because dharma was ruling. And dharma and artha, therefore Lakshmi and Narayan, they are always together. Prabhupada explained, when you separate Lakshmi from Narayan and you try to steal Lakshmi, then you become Ravan. And if you become Ravan, then your Lanka will be burned to ashes. Very simple. And if you steal Ram from Sita, then you become Shurpanaka. No? So you always keep them together. So Lakshmi represents prosperity and Lord Ram represents dharma. So never separate them. So if that is there, then prosperity also comes. So people who have dharma, they can handle prosperity. People don't have dharma, that very prosperity becomes cause of their destruction. And that is what the modern civilization is. So therefore, Krishna talks about this very nicely in the 18th chapter. Daiva is not alone responsible. Purushartha is not alone responsible. They are together. He says, endeavor, place of endeavor, instruments to endeavor, and involvement to endeavor. These are the 4 responsibilities of the living entities. And 5th is Daiva. Prabhupada says these are the 4 immediate cause, and Daiva is the remote cause. But you can only experience that only as a reflection for what has happened in the past. Destiny should not be taken to the future. That will create pacifist ideas. Kids will not say, they'll tell their parents, oh, it's my destiny only to fail, mummy. Abhi fail, next year I'll fail. No. That's very dangerous. It is not Gita's teaching. Yeah. You want to make some comment, then we'll stop.
Beautiful, Prabhu. One thing you said that regarding the question Prabhu asked, that Krishna even ordered himself for the sake of his devotee. Krishna wanted to glorify Pandavas. Bhagavatam says that Naivatma cha yatha bhava. My devotee is more dear to me than myself.
Thank you. Thank you for your kind attention. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai.